Hi, it's Steph and another portrait video for you, and it's another of my Sky Portrait of the Week challenges. This week's sitter was the very lovely Clare Balding, and the artist was Aine Devine, and they've had some great combinations of sort of sitters and artists. And I didn't quite know what to expect this week, but it was great. Claire was just really entertaining. Aine was probably my favourite artist that they've featured so far. Not maybe for her artwork, it was just watching her work and listening to her sort of commentating on her artwork. It was brilliant, and it kind of transpired that she does a lot of teaching, and you could so tell, because it was just great watching her. So if you get a chance, check out their Facebook page, Artist of the Week on Facebook, and give it a look, because it was really entertaining. So this is my version of Claire. As with all my others, done on a collage background, and drawn with ink pen and a bit of white acrylic as well. And for a few of these sitters, because you tend to know at the beginning of the week who's going to be the sitter, and for a few of the sitters I've already had a pretty rough idea of what sort of collage materials I'm going to throw in. When I heard that it was Clare Balding, I was a bit stumped. I didn't quite know what to do. So as I've done with all the others, I have sat, and instead of painting along, I've just sat and watched and listened to the artist painting the sitter, because it's great hearing all the things that they talk about. So one of the unexpected things this week was they were both talking about sort of confidence, and Aine was quite nervous to start with, which was quite nice to see actually. And you know, I've sort of spoken a bit about, you know, I do a lot of art demonstrations, and you know, that standing in front of a big crowd of people, doing these sort of there on the spot, it is quite nerve-wracking. Lots of people say, I don't know how you can do it. It actually, and it sort of on you sort of links to this when on the live stream, I think those nerves actually sort of spur you on. You know, you know, if you weren't nervous, if you just sat sitting at home, which I do quite often, usually the end product is nowhere near as good as it is when I'm actually, you know, publicly drawing. Which it sounds a bit weird, but those nerves do actually sort of, they get me going. So that conversation sort of happened quite a lot on Sunday when I watched the live stream, and interestingly, Claire was saying that she's got almost like a kind of self-confidence book coming out next year. So when I was putting the collage together, I knew in my stash of collage materials that I had this book, which just seemed very appropriate for all the things that were spoken about when they were doing the live stream. And it's just like a book of sort of motivational chapters. So I've used a few of those in there. Obviously I knew that Claire had got sort of big horse connections, and again, raiding my stash of collage equipment and materials, I was given this, I don't know, about a year ago actually, and it's an old sort of wartime like theatre review catalogue book. It's kind of full of songs and plays, little sketches. Most of it is horrendously sexist and quite old-fashioned, because it's like 1940. So I was a bit selective what I used, but I have found a few sort of horse-related poetry, so there's a bit of that in there. And the other thing that came out of the live stream was Claire was born, I think, where Watership Down was filmed, and I'd so thought that we had a copy of Watership Down in this house, but I've scoured the house, can't find one. So I have stuck a little White Rabbit in from Alice in Wonderland just as a little link to that. And as with all my others, I have filmed the whole process start to finish. I think when I speed it up, it usually kind of takes about 6 minutes, something like that. And the only other thing that I'll say is I spoke last week when I did No Fielding about how my kind of process for putting a portrait together, which is generally, I usually go eyes, nose, mouth, and then I kind of work around. And I mentioned last week that because I was struggling to find my way a little bit, I worked a little bit differently. And I did exactly the same when I drew Claire. I did start off up here, but I wasn't feeling that great about leaping to this eye, so I did kind of move around, and I sort of hinted at it last week. You sort of need to find your way around your face, and I think it can be different every time. You can have a favoured way of working, but sometimes if that isn't going great, you just need to find another way through it. So that's all I'm going to say. So I'll now stop talking, and I shall let you see me drawing Claire from start to finish. And as always, enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Can't speak. See you soon. Bye bye.